TG Tutorials.
I'm reliable. Hey guys, it's Matt here, and welcome to another episode of TG Tutorials. In this episode of TG Tutorials, I'm going to teach you how to record Super Nintendo footage using your Elgato. So first of all, let's show you exactly what you need.
The first thing you're going to need is a Super Nintendo. Also, you should have AV cables as well. Now, the AV cables could be Super Nintendo specific, or they could be AV cables for your GameCube or even your Nintendo Wii, because all of those do work with the Super Nintendo. The next thing you'll need is an Elgato Game Capture HD, and you're going to need an HDMI cable as well. And the last thing you'll need is a mini USB cable.
And now that you know what you need, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it.
The first thing you're going to need to do is turn your Super Nintendo around and plug the AV cables into the AV multi-out port. The next thing you'll need to do is plug the AV cables into the AV cable converter. This is a cable that is exclusive to the Elgato and should come with an Elgato if you buy it brand new. Now you're going to want to plug the AV cable converter into the AV cable port of your Elgato. And here's where the HDMI comes into play. Now you need to plug the HDMI into the outside of the Elgato into your television. Also, let's not forget about the mini USB cable, which you do need to plug into the USB port of the Elgato and into your computer. You're also going to want to go to this web address to download the Elgato Game Capture software directly from their website. You could download the Mac version if you like, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we are downloading the Windows version. Once you've downloaded and installed the software, click on this icon right here to open up the program. And if you did everything correctly, then this program should be opened up, and this preview screen right over here should not be a giant black bar or giant black square. It should actually be previewing whatever video game you're playing. Today we're looking at Super Mario World, which is actually the Japanese version. You might be wondering how I'm playing the Japanese version on a US Super Nintendo. You can actually check out that tutorial in another episode of TG Tutorials. I'll try to link that below in the description box. And also in the description box as well will be a link to us, myself, and Joey playing the game on Those Guys Play Season 3 and onward, because we continued it after that. But, so looking at the screen right here, this should be here. If it's not, please comment below and talk to me about it. I'll try to help you in any way I can. But it should be here if you plugged in everything correctly. But also remember that it is a preview and it is delayed compared to your actual video game footage. So if you have your footage coming from your either your TV or from your desktop, that's where you're looking at your footage rather, because obviously it's coming technically from the Super Nintendo. But if you're looking at it from there, focus on one of those monitors, not so much this monitor, because this monitor, like I said, it's delayed. If you're trying to stream on Twitch or something like that, that will be problematic because it's delayed. So understand that if you're getting something from a console, it will always be delayed. Sorry to tell you that, guys, but it's just the sad truth. So, but talking about video quality for a second, because let's talk about better things. About video quality for a second, we can go to Show Device Settings. It doesn't have to be 480 by 60. So you can actually, well, first off, I would like to mention, maybe if you have a black bar, right, and it's not the actual preview footage, you can't see the footage, perhaps you have input device on one of these and not on other. So potentially put it on other. Then make sure that your video input is on composite, not component, S-video, or HDMI. I know you might think it's HDMI because of the fact that it's outputting HDMI to your television or your desktop from the Elgato, but it's actually composite because that's what it's coming from. So remember, you have to make it composite. What you could also do, by the way, is you can go to, well, once you do that, right, you can't go to audio input, but you can go to profile. And you can actually put profile either on mobile, HD 720, or HD 1080. I have it on standard because this computer is actually terrible. It is legitimate poop. So trying to run, if you're wondering how I'm recording this right now, I'm recording it with Open Broadcast software. So trying to run Open Broadcast software, the Elgato software, and then trying to make the quality upscaled in some way or another through the actual software to HD, either 720 or 1080, the computer would start to stutter and it would be no bueno. So not going to do that. Also, I have the quality here. Again, I would suggest looking at your computer's settings before trying to move it up or down. It would be, and of course test it in general as well, because it would really suck if you're doing either a live stream or trying to record some footage and you have quality issues. So maybe you put it down to good if you need to, or maybe if you can, you put it all the way up to best. For me, clearly it's working right here, and I'm not going to change anything about it. You could do cropping as well, but I would just personally suggest that you just wait until until you might need to crop it in your personal video editing software of choice. Now, I could convert standard definition to 640 by 480. So, but I'm not gonna do it right now because again, that might cause some issues. But I don't think that's a big deal. Same thing, stretch standard definition input. Not really a big deal either, in my opinion. But again, if you feel awkward about that because you can't go back from it, I mean, arguably, yes, you can make it, smaller in your video editing software of choice. But maybe you don't want the pixels to be stretched out. You'd rather do that yourself. Again, you don't want like something to go through a few different passes or stuff like that in the encoding process. I totally get it. You can just leave it as is. You can go to picture as well, and I would suggest not messing with any of these because I've never met a video capture software's internal picture settings like brightness, contrast. I've never met one, and yes, I meet them personally all the time, great friends. I've never met them and thought, boy howdy, I would like to use this. And if you're wondering why, I'll show you why right now. This brightness, yeah, look at that. It's like a Game Boy Color, but like an overlay, right? Not like a backlight, but kind of like that overlay. It's really frustrating, and you can't remove it. You can try to remove it in post, but why do that when if you need to, make the lighting any better, if you think it's a bit too dark, then just fix it in post yourself and your personal video editing software of choice. So I'm just going to reset to default, which made things go freaked out for a second, but everything went back to normal, thankfully. You can go to audio over here, and you can fix the audio gain as well. You can bring it down, you can bring it higher. Personally, I think I would argue I'm pretty sure the audio gain stuff only relates to the actual audio of the game, not necessarily your microphone, although we'll talk about the audio of your game a little bit later on in this tutorial. Going to profiles right over here. It's pretty standard, really. You can just add different profile names. I guess if more than one person in the family uses an Elgato, that would be a cool family. But I guess you could do that as well. And TV compatibility, I've never had to use this myself, but I guess if you are having some issues and you're noticing that your TV is either fading to black or quickly going to black, then this might help you. It's always been on 2 for me. It's never really been an issue, so I've never really messed with it. Sometimes going in and out, as you can tell, of sadly going in and out of a video window can do that, but I've never, while trying to record footage, I've never noticed an issue with flickering or anything like that. But you can see things like your frame rate over here, and of course, if you have your profiles and stuff like that, and you can actually, I assume right here would be because you actually have one down here as well. When we scroll down later, you'll notice that you can actually change the file name, so I assume that with live streaming, it would also capture the video itself as well. Also, like to mention when it comes to streaming, you could click this green button right here to stream, press this blue button right here to capture your commentary, which I'll get to just in a bit, and of course green button right here to record. I would imagine that's pretty simple to follow. Looking over here though, going to game audio, the reason why I turned that all the way down is because I didn't want that playing over me while I was trying to record this footage, because I'm recording it through the Open Broadcast software, so it could end up getting caught through both Open Broadcast software and also its own personal audio. So I just didn't want that to have that happen. So I put the game audio all the way down. However, you can put it up to whatever level you like. But of course, remember when you're streaming or recording footage, sometimes that audio can get picked up by copyright and stuff like that. So different companies and all that's junk. So some that are like Nintendo, where in this case you'd think, oh, that makes sense, it's Mario. And then some other companies where things get really weird. So personally, I don't prefer recording the game footage or recording the game audio. I like recording the game footage, but not the game audio. But again, that's up to you. Live commentary, when you are obviously you press commentary after record, or potentially press it first, maybe so that you can make sure that you're talking first and everything's going okay. I have it on mute, but normally I would not. If I was doing a live stream or recording, you can pick whatever microphone you'd like. I'm using the Yeti myself, but I'm using the Yeti again on Open Broadcast software, not so much here. And automatically reduce game sound. That helps, but I would personally just put game audio to 0 anyway, just to make sure, unless I needed the audio to play the game, which does happen, of course, with a multitude of games. Now, scrolling down here, if there's ever an issue with your sound, there's a good chance that the issue might be the Elgato sound capture. It installs when you install the actual program itself, and there's a good chance that there's something on your computer that might be conflicting with the Elgato sound capture. That's happened to me before, and I've heard some people as well that have commented on different videos, and I've mentioned to them that might be what the issue was, and it seemed as if their computer potentially recognized that the Elgato sound capture was a thing, and then it started working right as rain. So scrolling down here as we have been, you can tell that when you record a video, you can also change the title of your video, the game if you want to, and the description here. I personally don't mess with that because with the amount of footage that I record, I just know that, hey, I mean, unless you're recording that much footage in a day and you're trying to record maybe different tricks and different tips and things like that, then perhaps you'd want to change the name. But the idea that I have to do it each and every time, I will just let the footage record, let it do its own little encoding pass, and then after that just copy and paste into a folder where I will then rename it. So personally, I feel like it's a waste to constantly have to rename every single thing, because again, what if you name it something and then all of a sudden you have to stop the clip, right? So then you have to delete that clip because that wasn't a good clip, and just all this, stuff that I think is just completely unneeded. So personally, I don't use that myself. Now going over to edit over here, and then we'll see you can actually edit this in this program itself. You can actually see something that I was recording. That's interesting. So yes, you can see stuff that I've recorded in the past, even though I could swear that I moved that, so that should be deleted. But stuff that I've moved and some stuff that I've recorded in the past, you actually edit it right here. Personally, I don't really use that. I don't even use the share option. I just share through other means, and I use my own video editing software of choice. But if you don't have one and you want to use this one, then by all means, have fun. All right, guys, so now that we're done with this portion of the video, let's jump back to me in front of the shelf.
See, that wasn't so hard, right? And if it was, and if it still is, and if you're having any issues whatsoever, then please comment below and I'll try to answer any of your questions that I can. Thank you all so much for watching another episode of TG Tutorials. Please remember to like and subscribe if you liked the video, and if you didn't like the video, then you know what to do. You can still like and subscribe either way. Okay, guys, so see ya.